How has the Indian equity landscape evolved over the time?
Think about the place 20 years back. You never even thought that somebody would be using and buying stocks on their phone. SIP numbers are now anywhere close to 26, 27,000 crore per month.
Can you share some perspective on how retail investors should think about derivatives?
If you use the derivative markets in a proper disciplined manner, then it is actually a boon. If you don't use it, it's actually a bane. People really don't understand how a derivative market works. They actually believe this like to be a gambling.
What is one of the common myth or misconception people think about fund managers? कि ऐसा होता होगा but ऐसा नहीं होता है.
So the common misconception about fund managers is that
Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Behind the Portfolio brought to you by Lemon, the investment app, in collaboration with Tata Mutual Fund, where we discuss the lives of fund managers and the funds they manage. My guest for today is someone who has more than 2 decades of experience crunching numbers left, right and center. Hello sir, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Yeah, hi Monu. Thanks for having me here. Thanks Lemon team for having me here. So.
Sure. But हम फंड्स के बारे में और जाने. I would like to start कि आपकी जर्नी मतलब स्टार्ट कहाँ से हुई है?
So I think as you have rightly said that I have a 2 decade of experience. So I started way back in 2003 somewhere. I started with a broking house where I was doing the fundamental research. For some point in time, then I moved to the derivative side of the business because I think that is one business which was growing substantially. Then I joined a mutual fund, which was nothing, Lotus Mutual Fund. During that period, I managed few funds there, moved back to a broking side. Another few broking houses, and then I am back here. So I have headed couple of desks at the broking side. Now I am back at Tata Mutual Fund managing funds for last 6 years now.
Obviously, but मुझे थोड़ा ये जानना था कि जब एजुकेशन के टाइम पे आप थे कॉलेज वाले तब कैसे वो ट्रांजिशन हुआ कि फाइनेंस में जाना है?
So I think I was I could be one of the fortunate guys who had decided their mind way back when I was doing my graduation. In fact, my internship was also at a broking company, and that made me very clear that this is one stream of business which I really like to do, and I had pre-decided that I would like to join either something which will relate to finance, something which is related to stock market. So
got it. Now you have spent time in both like fund management and broking. How has the Indian equity landscape evolved over the time?
So I think Indian equity markets have changed substantially in last 2 decades or probably last 10-20 years. Things have been dramatically. In fact, just looking at your own house, you are an app-based broker, right? I mean, think about the place 20 years back. You never even thought that somebody would be using and buying stocks on their phone or on their tabs on the go, right? You will be sitting in a waiting room on a railway station or or on an airport, and somebody would still be trading in an equity market, and you will be shocked to see that he's already started because of the investment apps what you have on your mobile or tabs. What has also changed is basically in last 15-20 years basically the adoption of mutual funds. Now I don't think people were so receptive of mutual funds now. Now with newer and newer retail class coming in which are slightly more educated, who have a steady source of income, for them investments have become a different has been a secondary source of income now. These are not the guys who used to be the similar retail guys who used to panic when markets used to drop. In fact, if you really see what has been the backbone of the stock market is basically the SIP numbers now. SIP numbers are now anywhere close to 26-27,000 crore per month now, and that is substantial, right? The number of demat accounts opened every month, or we would be like at an all-time high demat account now, close to 6 crores of investors now, active investors in the equity market.
So आपने एक पॉइंट नहीं बोली कि रेलवे स्टेशन पे तुम्हारे बगल में कोई आई हैव गॉन थ्रू दिस फेज. लाइक मैं गुड़गांव में हूँ एक मार्केट में, एक इंसान समोसा बेच रहा है और साइड में देख रहा हूँ कि वो फ़ोन पे ऐसे ट्रेड कर रहा है parallelly. So when you mentioned that, I can totally relate to that fact.
So this is what I was trying to say, and this is actually thanks to the app like you or other online apps, which have actually one thing they have definitely invested into technology, which has ensured that the activity is seamless, and that is actually got this immense amount of trust. In fact, my view is that the bulk of the increased activity in the market is actually going through these apps now.
Got it. Yeah. Now, what led like your transition from broking and derivatives to mutual fund side?
I think I will be the fortunate guy who have actually had the honors of working on both sides, either the sell side, which is basically nothing but the broking side,
Yeah.
and the buy side, which is nothing but the mutual fund side. So,
Yes.
so one thing which I believe is, one, it gives you significant diversity in understanding what does a person think when he's on the sell side, and how does a person thinks when he's on the buy side.
Yeah.
I think my only point was that when I was at the sell side, my only point was that I realized that I was actually good at getting ideas out, pitching it to it. I realized that if I can generate such good ideas, why can't not manage funds on my own? Obviously, management was one which was always there at the back of my mind, and I think that was pushed me back to the mutual fund. So this was the second stint at mutual fund which I did.
Got it. Now, coming from a background of like fundamental of derivatives, how do you integrate that expertise into equity fund management?
So I have obviously my academics has helped me in the fundamentals of the stock market. Now with my exposure in derivatives, it helps me immensely, because when you buy a stock on the fundamentals of the stock. But when you believe that you need to balance out your risk, derivatives comes to help to a significant. So आप क्या कर सकते हो बेसिकली, अगर आपने कोई स्टॉक ले लिया ना, आपको लग रहा है कि शॉर्ट टर्म पीरियड के लिए आपको स्टॉक में कहीं वीकनेस दिख रहा है, यू कैन वेरी एफिशिएंटली यूज डेरिवेटिव्स. आप उसको हेज कर सकते हो आइदर बाय यूजिंग ऑप्शंस और बाय एक्चुअली शॉर्टिंग द फ्यूचर. ऑल्सो विद द नॉलेज जो मेरे डेरिवेटिव विच आई वर्क through couple of years on the derivative market, एक तो you get early indicators on what is happening in the equity market, the open interest. Also when you analyze the open interest, आपको थोड़ा आइडिया मिल जाता है कि हो क्या रहा है स्टॉक मार्केट में, who is getting into the stock, how stocks are behaving. So for me, because I have an holistic approach on the fundamentals and the derivatives, I personally believe that I think I slightly have better edge versus the one who only does either of it, either fundamentals or derivatives.
You manage, I think, the Arbitrage Fund, right?
So for me, Arbitrage Fund is one of the funds which I manage.
Before we like discuss more, आप Arbitrage Fund, Arbitrage मुझे basic
Right.
समझ में आता है कि कहीं से खरीदा कहीं बेचा, जो बीच में मार्जिन बना, that is arbitrage. But how does an Arbitrage Fund work?
So assuming आपने एक्टिविटी फर्स्ट, हम आपको एक्टिविटी समझाता हूँ कि आर्बिट्राज होता क्या है. तो आपने एक एक्स कंपनी का शेयर्स इक्विटी में बाय कर लिया, और सिमिलरली उसी समय पे आपने उसी कंपनी का एक फ्यूचर शॉर्ट कर लिया और सेल कर लिया. सो बेसिकली आपने क्या किया, आपने एक लॉन्ग इक्विटी शेयर्स किया और आपने फ्यूचर सामने शॉर्ट कर लिया है. तो बेसिकली आपका पोजीशन कंप्लीटली हेज्ड है. मतलब चाहे कल अगर वो स्टॉक का प्राइस ऊपर जाए तो आपको इक्विटी में आपको प्रॉफिट होगा, आपको फ्यूचर्स में लॉस होगा. चाहे कल वो प्राइस नीचे चला जाए तो आपको फ्यूचर्स में प्रॉफिट होगा, आपको इक्विटी में लॉस होगा. सो नेट what I'm trying to say is that आपका पोजीशन कंप्लीटली हेज्ड है, विच मीन्स आपको कोई प्राइस रिस्क नहीं है. द डिफरेंस बिटवीन द फ्यूचर प्राइस विच यू सोल्ड और इक्विटी में आपने जो खरीदा है इज बेसिकली योर प्रॉफिट. In a nutshell, this fund has the tax advantage, and in generally it is normally pitched against the liquid and the ultra short funds. In comparison to them.
उसका आप थोड़ा टैक्स वाला जो बेनिफिट है वो अगर आप समझा पाओ, so कैसे डिफरेंस पड़ेगा अगर मैं एक लिक्विड या एफडी के साथ अगर मैं कंपेयर करूँ. एफडी तो नहीं शायद.
अगर आपने एक एफडी रखी बैंक में, लेट्स अज्यूम कि बैंक का रिटर्न ऑन एन एफडी विल बी क्लोज टू 6%.
यस.
वन, योर लिक्विडिटी इज लॉक्ड इन, यू डोंट हैव द ऑप्शन टू रिमूव द एफडी, क्योंकि अगर आपने एफडी इमरजेंसी और आपने एफडी ब्रेक किया, यू गेट अ वेरी लो इंटरेस्ट रेट. अपन लेट्स अज्यूम दैट you keep it for 1 year. And that at the end of the year what you get is 6%. Because you are in the tax bracket, you will be knocked off 35% of your earning. Now if you knock off 35% of that, close to 2% goes off your return. So your net return is only 4%. Now let's come to the arbitrage fund. An arbitrage fund, hypothetically assume karte कि it will generate 6% return only. There are instances where it has generated much higher return, but let's take for safer purpose 6% return is generated for this fund if you keep the money for 1 year. Now, since this is an equity fund, you are taxed at long-term tax, right, on this, which is 12%. Okay, so let's take hypothetically that आपने 12% return generate, 6% return generate किया, you are taxed at 12%. You will be around 75 basis point will be knocked off your return. So your net return after 1 year will be 5.25% versus 4% in an FD. So you are logically outperforming this fund. This fund outperforms your FDs by 125 basis points. Similarly for liquid funds and ultra short funds.
Since you manage a dividend yield equity fund, डिविडेंड मुझे समझ में आता है. कोई स्टॉक अगर मैं ओन करता हूँ, थोड़े टाइम में 3 महीने में क्वार्टरली या फाइन जो आता है उसमें मुझे थोड़ा डिविडेंड मिलता है. बट व्हाट इज अ डिविडेंड यील्ड इक्विटी फंड?
think about a stock, right? When does a stock give a dividend, right?
जब उनको प्रॉफिट होता है या
Exactly. So
हाँ
that is what the underlying is, that when a company is making money or when is making a substantial amount of money, it distributes that money back to the investors. That is
Yeah.
dividend. Now, typically that is the premise what a dividend yield fund is all about now. So our objective is very simple: investing into companies that make profit and companies which are matured, who have a mature product. Is what is generating stable income, and they are happy to par that money with the investors, is what the dividend yield fund is all about.
सो इस फंड के पोर्टफोलियो में सारे जो कंपनीज है दे आर लाइक हाईली डिविडेंड दे रहे हैं सारे के सारे, तभी आप उस फंड में रखते
right,
हो.
right. So here what we also invest into our dividend yield fund is basically one, for me my dividend yield fund is a healthy mix of value and growth.
Okay.
One, it is always perceived that dividend paying stocks are actually value stocks, which I would not agree. In fact, there are many stocks under the PSU fraternity which have become now growth stocks, and they have been paying healthy dividends.
Okay.
That's one. And for us, basically, if you really pick up our portfolio, 80 to 90% of these stocks in my portfolio would definitely be paying dividends now.
So you also manage an equity savings fund as well. How is different? मतलब डिविडेंड नहीं होगा, obviously that is the bigger difference. डिविडेंड है वो, इसमें क्या है इक्विटी सेविंग्स?
So equity saving is actually a very unique fund. In fact, I would say that anyone who's having investment risk into their FDs now or bonds which are maturing, then this is one fund which you should definitely look at it. This is product which is in between it is slightly above the arbitrage fund in terms of return and risk,
Okay.
and it is lower than the balance advantage fund in terms of return and risk. Now, what is this product all about, right? So to start with, this product has three asset classes around it. One, you have asset class means if three differentiation into this portfolio. So let's take, what you do is that we have unhedged long positions, which basically net long what we call. Then a part of it also is in equity arbitrage, just to manage the equity taxation, and some of the money is invested into the debt. We are the only fund in the street who also does commodity arbitrage into this fund. In fact, we are enabled to do agri and non-agri commodity arbitrage.
Got
So
it.
clearly, this fund generally stands tall when you have in this kind of interest lower scenarios, and when you have a reinvestment risk. So my point is that anybody who has their money getting matured in FDs or in bonds, or who have kept money into liquid funds, ultra short, or who wants to have some tinge of equity but not a very larger exposure to equity, want slightly higher return than the arbitrage but don't want too much of exposure like what are balance advantage funds, then this fund is an ideal suite for you. It will give you returns which are very similar, obviously, with the risk what an equity fund would see with the 20% of my portfolio. But the fund, because it has 80% of money invested into you commodity arbitrage, debt, and arbitrage, equity arbitrage, it still has a very stable earning over the
Got
years.
it.
So point that it stand tall with someone who wants to invest money into versus your FDs.
Now, can you share some perspective on how retail investors should think about derivatives as an opportunity or a risk? क्योंकि अभी अगर पास्ट रिकॉर्ड देखोगे, इंडिया एकदम फ्यूचर्स में बहुत
Right,
ज़्यादा
right,
ट्रेड कर रहे हैं, बट नुकसान भी बहुत ज़्यादा होता है.
Right.
तो इट्स एन अपॉर्चुनिटी बट इट्स ऑल्सो अ रिस्क. So how should they look at
So I
it?
think if you go through whatever been tweeted or what the NSE data is, that I think 90-95% of the retail investors would have made losses in
Yes.
the derivative market now.
Yes.
Now what is happening is that people really don't understand how a derivative market works. They actually believe this like to be a gambling place, right? They come, they think buy today and sell tomorrow. Derivative markets don't work that way, right? Derivative markets there are two components. One is the futures market, and there is an option market. Now future market is a very simple to understand. It is similar to what your equity would be. So the payoffs are very linear, which means when the stock goes up, you make money. When the stock goes down, but again, the idea is that people actually misuse the leverage now. On a futures, you invest 20%, you get 100% exposure. So people actually go over leverage on that. So if you are already leveraged 2x on that, a 10% fall is actually a 20% fall for
Yeah,
you, right?
yeah.
So what I'm saying is that the leverage kills you. So you need to understand that derivative markets are good, but first you need to understand how much leverage you can take and what is the risk. So that's on the future side. On the option, it is slightly more complicated. People think that because option prices are assumed by a lot of factors. You have volatility which captures into it. You have the time value. You have the interest rate. You have the volatility. So a lot of factors actually cumulatively changes the price of an option. So once you trade in the option, my only point is that you need to have some amount of formalized education about how the pricing of an option works before actually investing, rather than actually just going straight into the trading. So if you use the derivative markets in a proper disciplined manner, then it is actually a boon. If you don't use it, it is actually a bane.
Now you have also been through the, like, थोड़ा सा अगर पीछे जाए, you have been through the financial crisis of 2008.
Right.
How does it shape a fund manager or someone who's in the field of finance?
So I have was in the market in 2008 global financial crisis. I was in the market during the COVID now. So if you really ask me, crises are definitely an opportunity. What is really important is that you need to be prepared for the fact that this kind of events will never come when you ask for it, right? They will come knocking without being asked for. So your portfolio should definitely be prepared against it. That you need to have some amount of stabilizers in your portfolio, which ensures that if this kind of things happen, at least those products don't fall, or those stocks don't fall. They fall lesser than the market, or they give some stabilizing effect. It's easy to say that you need to have high beta all the time, only when markets are doing good. But just imagine a scenario, the fall is always evident when you don't want it, right?
मतलब हाइंडसाइट में तो समझ में आता है कि ठीक है
Right.
मार्केट वापस रिकवर कर गया, बट जब उस
But
सिचुएशन
you-
में होते हैं तो नहीं समझ में
Right.
आता.
So in that situation, if you have a well managed, diversified portfolio, you will be less worried than others. In fact, if your portfolio has stocks which are stable, which are well accepted in the market, if you really undergo through the dividend yield, then you are sure of the fact that come what may be, this portfolio is stable, this portfolio is well protected against obviously things will fall. I don't say that portfolio will not fall, but the recovery in this portfolio, because you have stable earnings, you have cash flows, the product is well accepted, the management is good, the recovery is generally much faster in those names.
Got it. Now India is seeing more retail participation. मतलब आपने जैसा बताया ना,
Right.
दिन ब दिन ऐसे डीमैट
Right.
अकाउंट बढ़ते ही जा रहे हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड इन्वेस्टमेंट हर मंथ ऐसे रिकॉर्ड हाई टच कर रहा है.
Right.
What is one advice you want to give to the retail investors?
So I think what you said is right. I think you need to understand that the retail investors of now are not very similar to what you had 10 years ago, right? So only thing is that what I would really say that because retail investors may not be able to focus complete of their time to the equity markets, it is best to leave these decisions to the professional fund managers like at mutual funds. I would say rather than direct equity investment, I would recommend putting money through mutual funds, because there you are not exposed to an individual stock, you're not exposed to an intricacies of an individual stock, but because the fund manager is a well knowledge person at least, and he's been doing this day in day out, he has a portfolio against it, you are well protected against the impact of an individual stock, because he's holding a portfolio, and because he's doing this day in day out, he's quite close to the action in the market now.
जैसे म्यूचुअल फंड मेंशन किया, आई थिंक म्यूचुअल फंड भी अगर 2000 से कंपेयर करें, उसका भी अडॉप्शन काफ़ी बढ़ गया. नाउ डू यू थिंक इट्स ऑल्सो बिकॉज ऑफ लॉट ऑफ ब्रांडिंग? मतलब मैं बचपन से ऐड देख रहा हूँ, म्यूचुअल फंड सही है, म्यूचुअल फंड सही है, कहीं ना कहीं वो इनग्रेंड होता है. इट हैज़ टेकन टाइम थ्रू, मतलब फंड्स तो दे ही रहे रिटर्न, बट इट ऑल्सो प्लेज अ बिग रोल कि आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन पहुँचना चाहिए लोगों तक.
So I think you're right with that fact. I think the investor education has helped a lot, plus the adoption of stock markets, right? So at some point in time, 20 30 years, people were slightly worried about stock market, right? Now with the online activity coming in, with the usage of phones, prices are live to you, buying and selling happens with T+1. Now your settlement happens in a day or two now. So those things have definitely helped your online banking. So everything has become very very seamless now. UPI is also another boon to this thing. So I think once these things have happened, people have gained a lot of confidence in the equity markets.
आपने बोला ना अवेयरनेस के बारे में, लाइक आई थिंक दिस कॉन्वर्सेशन इज इटसेल्फ एन अवेयरनेस टू द पीपल. आई थिंक 10 साल पहले बस टीवी पे आता था, अभी हर जगह फाइनेंस का कंटेंट हो गया है. So
No,
people-
thankful to you, people, you and the different websites what is there, that this awareness has actually gone to the tier 2, tier 3 city. In fact,
Exactly.
if I really go by data, 20 years ago, only tier 1 was very active in the equity markets. Now, if you really go tier 2, tier 3, everybody knows where the market is all about, trading activities where, and I'm telling, my only point is that because of the online movement of the stocks, money, This has become seamless now.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what is one of the common myth or misconception people think about fund managers? कि ऐसा होता होगा but ऐसा नहीं होता है.
सो द कॉमन मिसकंसेप्शन अबाउट फंड मैनेजर दैट मैंने पैसा दे दिया है,
हाँ.
तो अभी ये हमेशा आउट परफॉर्म करेगा, ये हमेशा रिटर्न देते रहेगा.
हाँ.
सी ये फंड मैनेजर्स एंड ऑफ द डे आप देखोगे तो वी आर अगेन लिंक टू मार्केट्स, राइट. सो ऑब्वियसली आवर ऑब्जेक्टिव इज टू आउट परफॉर्म द मार्केट, बट देर आर टाइम्स कभी ना कभी कुछ साल या कुछ महीने थोड़े ख़राब हो जाते हैं. समटाइम्स आपके जो स्टॉक लिए हुए थे दे डोंट परफॉर्म द वे आपको लग रहा है. माई ओनली पॉइंट दैट म्यूचुअल फंड में आप जब डालते हो कीप इट फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म. ये एक लॉन्ग टर्म गेम है. ये आपको एक कंसिस्टेंटली आप इन्वेस्ट करते हो. अगर आप SIP कर रहे हो, प्लीज़ मार्केट नीचे जाए तो आप SIP मत बंद करो. आपका फंड अंडर परफॉर्म करता है. मैं ये नहीं बोलता कि आपका फंड सस्टेन्ड अंडर परफॉर्म करता है तो आप एग्जिट नहीं करो, बट द पॉइंट इज दैट एक शॉर्ट पीरियड में अगर आपने रिसर्च किया और आपको लग रहा है कि ये फंड हाउस और ये फंड मैनेजर ने अच्छा किया हुआ है पास्ट में, हिज हिस्ट्री इज़ गुड, देन ट्रस्ट हिम विद दैट. टाइम्स few months can be bad, but अगर आप consistently उसमें इन्फॉर्म, the compound impact is very very large. You just need few good years and you will outperform significantly. So I'm saying टाइमिंग करने की बजाय आप उसको गिव टाइम टू इट rather than trying to time it.
फर्स्ट ही साइन में पैनिक नहीं करना है.
Right. So you give time to your investment. आज डाला है, give time to investment rather than trying to time the investment is what I would say. Please don't do it.
Got it. Fund managers are also people, right? So आप खाली टाइम में क्या करते हो?
So one thing which I really love is playing sports. Either playing sports or actually watching sports now. So in my most of my free time, whenever I get, one thing is that I go and play outdoor sports.
आप क्या खेलते हो?
So I play tennis. I think I play decent.
फॉलो भी करते हो आप?
Yes, I follow tennis.
आपका कौन सा है फेवरेट टेनिस प्लेयर है कोई?
So for now, I think it's Alcaraz, but obviously Roger Federer has been my all-time favorite. So.
Okay. Now, if you weren't managing funds, आप क्या करते? कुछ और प्रोफेशन?
So if I weren't being managing fund, then definitely I would have been in some sports industry. So either managing sports or playing some sport.
Now at Lemon, our mission is to like simplify finance. बहुत jargons है, बहुत कुछ complications है. So I want you to give 3 pieces of advice to someone who is 25 entering into the markets, putting their first 20,000 into the market. What would be your advice as a professional?
So one, I would recommend that be consistent in what you're doing. So what I meant was that one, where you are earning money, please be consistent that, and second is that your saving should be consistent, right? So if you have a stable earning, please ensure that there is some part of your money which is kept as saving, which goes into mutual fund on a consistent basis. So either you continue with your SIP. Second is there is no moving away from hard work, right? So when you do hard work, and what I meant by hard work is that even when you invest into a mutual fund, please look at the fund manager, please look at the fund house track record, how they are doing. There is no point in doing blind investments on because somebody would have told you to buy something and you have bought that. I think I would recommend rather than doing individual buying, please look into the mutual fund as and third part is discipline, right? So if you are looking into it, please have discipline in your approach, right? So
got it. Now एक छोटा सा rapid fire. I want to see what do you like between these questions, right? Okay, this or that.
Right.
Gold or real estate?
I would like gold. So
Gold. Okay. Crypto or stocks?
Stocks. I think crypto, I am absolutely against crypto. I really don't understand who owns the currency and where is the legacy of that currency, right? So
Okay. SIP or lump sum?
Both. If I can answer that one, because I think SIP is, as I reiterate, is one where it is a part of your saving which should be consistent. Because I am into equity markets, I can understand. I try to understand the cycle. I believe that some valuations have reached to a level, and I think maybe lump sum would definitely help in that point.
I think time to time वो depend करता है market कैसा है उस पे. Both works.
Right.
Bear market or volatile market?
I would like actually, if I am new to investment, and I believe that the equity markets from here on, if the bear market is a temporary phenomenon, I believe that the growth prospects for the country, then definitely bear market. But if I am invested, then I am okay with a volatile market as well. So.
I think I loved the conversation. बहुत कुछ technical था, but बहुत कुछ सीखने को भी मिला. I hope viewers also enjoy it. With that, this is the end of the episode. If you enjoyed watching this video, do choose to like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what more you want to know about finance. And I'll see you in the next episode.
Investments in the securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.